Hello everyone. So I've tried to film this video once already. I got distracted. Very, very distracted. So I'm gonna try and redo this. Hopefully. I'm going to make this just a book review right now. I may end up rambling at the end, but I will try and make this just a book review. So, let me get my book review glasses on. Look sexy, don't I? Okay, so as you can read in the title bar up here area, this book review is on Venomous by Christopher Krovatin? However you say that name. I'm terrible at names, just so everybody knows that. Like, we can clarify that right now, that I'm terrible with names. Okay, because I can't pronounce the kid's last name either. Yes, let's see. Wrong way. That way. That name. Can't pronounce it, so please forgive me for that. If this is your language and I am butchering it, please forgive, okay? Because I am terrible at English. Yeah, and I work in a library. Think about that one. But let me read you what this book is about. It says Lucky Venetti has an anger problem. He calls his anger the venom, and ever since the 8th grade, when he mangled another kid's face in fury, he has been somewhat of a legend, and a loner, because of it. But this all starts to change one fateful night when Lucky meets Renee, the beautiful, messed up goth girl of his dreams. She could be Lucky's chance at a real relationship, his opportunity to put his anger behind him. There's only one problem. The venom has no intention of being left behind. This book, I think, is the perfect example of YA book. It's fairly a thick book. The writing is fairly large. Give you guys a little bit of cut out of there. And there are, throughout the books, they do really good illustration of the second part of the book, because you have one section of the book which is the regular chapters, which are marked like this with the words going up and down, and then you have these sub sections which are not titled, but they're written almost in italics. That's almost like a superhero story, which of course I nerd out at. Because in one part of the book he explains that Venom is like Spider-Man Venom, where it's Spider-Man is good, Venom is bad. Lucky is good, Venom is bad. His anger problem gets him in a lot of trouble, I mean, hell, he mangles a kid's face. Beats the crap out of people, almost kills people, he beats up his best friend. I think this story has a lot of, ups and downs. You get to meet his best friend, who makes me laugh beyond reasoning, because they're both horrible to each other. You get to meet, well, of course, you get to meet Lucky and his brother Lon. You get to meet Renee. My favorite character, by far, is Cassie. He is gay. Bit of a spoiler there, I guess. But, he's gay, he's hilarious, he's such a queen throughout the entire book. It's not really even a spoiler, I guess, because he acts that way from the start. But the things that happen in this book are just so hilarious. There were points in this book I was reading and I was crying because I was laughing so hard. And I think that's what draws me to this book so much, because most books, there's that definite guy book and there's definite girl book. There's books that are, Shirley Kenyon's Chronicles of Nick series. These are guys' books. They're very masculine, very bloody, very murder, very hatred. And then you have books like This Lullaby by Sarah Dessen, which are very girly and very love story based, and very sweet and kind and cuddly books. I mean, hell, look at the two covers. This looks like a guy's book, this looks like a girl's book. And this one follows suit. It looks like a guy's book. A guy would want to be reading this. Guys kind of looked at me funny for reading this. Girls looked at me even more funny for reading this. But, and here's where you're going to get a little confused, it's a love story. It's a love story about Lockie and Renee. So it's got that girl characteristic in it. It's got that girl momentum behind it. And I think that's what drew me to this book so much, is because it wasn't just about Lockie. It was about Renee and about her backstory, about what happens with her family. And I think that really helps you understand more of Lockie's character, and about his mom, and about his dad, and about Renee, and about, you know, everybody in the story has problems. And it's kind of their way of learning how to deal with each other. Because you find out very early on that a lot of people are like Nick, and they hide things, and they don't let people in. And I think I can relate to that character very, very well. And I think that's what makes it such a believable book, and such a good YA book. And this is definitely YA. I will not lie to you, this is a more, I'd say, 8th grade freshman sophomore book. Okay, that group of, like, not older YA, like, there's not any, they talk about drug use, they talk about drinking, they talk about sex, but they don't get into gory details of sex. They don't cuss a lot, but there is language used. They do talk about alcohol a lot, but you talk about that in school a lot of times. You know, don't drink, you know, underage, you know, which they do in the book. But as for the subject matter, there's not a lot in this book that you couldn't put in any other book, and it's not as bad as, like, Ellen Hopkins' books. So it's one of those things where you have to kind of, it depends on your maturity level, it depends on how much you can take, because there is a lot of stuff in this book that I wouldn't want, you know, a 13-year-old reading, but I couldn't see, like, a 17-year-old reading. You know what I mean? It's one of those very fine, you know, finely divided books. I do give this book a 5 out of 5, though, in any case, because it is funny. It gets into the life, you really get to know the characters, you really get to know the plot and the subplot, and you get to know a little bit about everything that you want to know about the characters, about the book, about how people are interacting with each other. And I, all in all, think that this is a very wonderful book if you want to get into YA, and read a book dealing with tough issues in YA. I think this is definitely the book that you should pick up. Like I said, I give this book a 5 out of 5. It's Venomous by Christopher Krovatin. Is it Krovatin? I'm sorry, Christopher. If you ever watch this, please forgive me for butchering your last name, because it just ain't going well. But, that's it for the book review. All I have to say about the book, but one thing I do have to say is I'm not doing my challenge anymore. I finally decided that it's time for me to bow out of it. I got over 50 books, but I'm like 13 books behind, probably more now than the last time I checked. I can't keep up with it, and school and work and having a social life of any stance. So I'm sorry to those of you who were looking forward to seeing my 100 book challenge complete, but I have a very, very strong feeling that I'm not going to be able to achieve it. So I'd rather bow out gracefully now than fail in the end. If I do reach 100 books, because I am personally going to keep track, I'm just not going to keep track on Goodreads. But if I do hit that 100 books, I will be keeping a list of the books that I read from now on, so I can go back and see, tell you guys the titles of those books along with the books that I've already read for the Goodreads portion of it. Because I hate how I feel like I was pressured into reading a lot. But, also, if you guys have anything that you want me to discuss in any of my videos, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will be taking any questions anybody has. And if you guys ever want me to do a bookshelf tour, I'd be more than willing to. It would be in parts, though, because this is 3 shelves, this is 3 shelves, and 2 of the shelves, 1 of each, is double deep, and I have another shelf over there. So I do have a lot of books. Plus I have books up there. I don't know if you guys can see the beginning of them. So it would take me a long time to go through all those books, so I don't want to make a 3.5-hour video. But this video is already 11 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and go. I will be trying to make videos more often now. I'm better when school is in, and I would want to keep you guys updated as much as I can, so hopefully I will be able to. So, I will see you guys later. I hope you have a wonderful day, and stay beautiful.